Today I'm going to discuss about the emerging trends in India. One of the trends which India is witnessing, which I feel will have a long runway of growth, is electronic manufacturing services. Electronic consumption in India is likely to grow at 26% CAGR, from $100 billion to around $500 billion. That's over next 10 years approximately. And in that, exports are likely to grow even at a faster rate. So this is driven by the most of the electronic usage in India increasing. And now, as the consumption is growing, India is also developing the ecosystem around its consumption. And therefore, when India was a net importer of the electronics products, now with the increasing ecosystem in India, the overall imports are likely to go down, and India is likely to become the export hub for the global market. This is largely driven by the government policies, the increasing ecosystem in India, overall investment by the global players as well as local players into the Indian markets, and the cost arbitrage what India has as compared to its competition countries in the global market. So, if we see the overall export opportunity for India over the next 10 years is likely to be around 8 trillion. Currently, India's exports stands at around 1.8 trillion. So overall electronic exports are likely to grow from 1.8 trillion to around 8 trillion over the next 4 to 5 years. Whereas electronic imports, when we have seen in the last 5 years, have almost doubled, are likely to go down at a CAGR of 8%. So the dependency of India, what we were having on the import market, is likely to go down. That is why the electronic manufacturing services in India, the overall industry is likely to grow at a CAGR of 32%. The current industry size of electronic manufacturing services is around 1.4 trillion, which is likely to grow to around 6 trillion by FY27. So this is likely to benefit many Indian manufacturers. Why India has a competitive positioning as far as its competing countries? That is, one is India has a very large labor force. So we have around 470 million workers. The labor participation rate is also increasing, and that now stands at around 52%. Overall, the wages and salaries are comparable. In fact, we are much competitive as compared to other competing countries as compared to China, Vietnam, etc. And therefore, that drives the manufacturing costs lower. So these are some of the competitive advantage which India enjoys. Along with this, as the government support comes in terms of PLI, this is likely to drive the overall production of electronic manufacturing in India. So these are some of the key drivers for electronic manufacturing. One, as we discussed, that the government of India has a thrust on increasing the domestic manufacturing, and therefore government has introduced many schemes such as PLI, MEIS, EMA, PEX. So these schemes are likely to drive the overall investment into India, as well as the exports are also likely to increase. Apart from this, most of the global manufacturers also want to deliver their dependency on China. So China plus one is one strategy where most of the global manufacturers are looking for, and there India has a very good chance of winning, because after China, India is one large country where we can develop that kind of ecosystem, and we can actually drive the electronic manufacturing. Import substitution, as we have already discussed, that India was a large importer of electronics because our consumption has been growing. However, as we develop the overall ecosystem in India, the imports are likely to go down, and that is likely to increase the overall manufacturing in India. And that is how most of the global players and local players are also looking at a large investment in Indian economy. And that is overall, it is going to give a rise to one big sector, that is electronic manufacturing services. This is a EMS segment split. So if we see, it is largely contributed by mobile. We have seen the large wave of mobile penetration, what has happened in the last decade, that has driven the electronic manufacturing. And mobile contributes around 52% of this, which is also likely to increase further as the smart mobile usage increases and overall penetration level also increases. So this segment is likely to contribute 63% by FY26, followed by consumer electronics, industrial electronics, and computer hardware, and LED lighting, and all these are all the small segments of the this theme. But by and large, the overall theme is driven by the mobile manufacturing as well as the industrial economics. In industrial economics, there are different segments like autos, railways. These are some of the segments which are part of this theme. So, as we discussed, so this is the overall EMS breakup. So, automotive, industrial, telecom, medical, aerospace, and defense. These are some of the parts of the industrial electronic system, wherein most of the domestic manufacturers have their feet into. And if we see the current size of this industry is around 1.8 trillion. And going forward, as the overall penetration increases in India and the import substitution happens, this industry is likely to grow at a CAGR of 34%. This is likely to reach around $6 trillion rupees by FY27. These are some of the key players in India which are likely to be beneficiary of this emerging theme. So Dixie is one which has a major market share in mobile market, and apart from that, it is also a manufacturer of the other manufacturing segments like consumer durables, etc. Amwell is largely focused on the RAC segment, and Avion, Sign DLM, Keynes, and Silma. These are some of the players who have manufacturing in the industrial segment. So everyone will have a different efficiency or different specialty. So some are concentrated on the automobile sector, whereas some would be concentrated on the defense and telecommunication and railway system. However, as the overall production within the country increases and the electronic manufacturing ecosystem develops within the country, most of these players are likely to be a beneficiary of the mega theme, which we feel is likely to play over a period of time. So this is, one thing which I feel that can emerge over a period of time and can grow at a consistent rate, wherein India can be a beneficiary of the exports as well as the import substitution. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.